Good evening, Sham. Namaste.
Shankara आहे तिकडे Shankara आहे त्याला मी आता गुड इव्हनिंग केलं आतापर्यंत मी एकटाच आहे तू पण करून टाक त्यांना 54 झाले
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Shashi,
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. We are the first one, look like.
Looks like you're the first ones. Doesn't surprise me. You're the first ones who come on Seva Saturdays. You're the first, some of the early ones who come on Sundays when we meet in the chapel.
Yeah.
You have a
So
habit
how
of
was
being...
your meeting? How was your Sunday meeting?
The Sunday meetings are very good on Zoom.
Any changes?
Well, we're going to persist all the way through May and then see what the medical experts say about June, and see whether we should be meeting together in groups as large as we meet. So we'll consult all of the best advice we can get.
Okay.
We may have to limit the number probably in the beginning.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Yes, I think you're right, Sean.
In the
Good
beginning.
evening, Aaron. Namaste.
Hi, namaste, Shankara. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well.
Good.
फोटो पण नाही लावला ना
So it's still just 4 minutes of. We'll wait for another 6 minutes to start the meeting. But it's sure good to see you. Those of you who already arrived, good to see you on the screen.
Hi Ma.
Hi Ma. Namaste, namaskaram, dear.
Namaste, hi Ma.
Namaste, Guruji. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
There is Shashi.
Hi.
Hello, Shashi.
How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah.
Haima is also an early arriver.
Yeah.
Usually it seems like there's more people by this time, I think.
Well, Aaron, we'll just see what happens. You know, we can only be glad to see who we see. We're very glad to see you and Haima and Sham and Shashi.
I
If
think
that's
that
all who attend the class, well, that's all who attend the class. But I suspect they'll be.
I think people are getting used to 802, 803, Brother Shankar, since you're giving
Yes, isn't that something?
just to
People
start,
will push the limits, won't they?
you start on time and keep going, and then they'll come back. Right?
Well, we'll just see what happens. But I think you're right, Haima. It's like when we're meeting in the chapel, a lot of people come in during the announcements, you know.
Exactly.
They know that there's Balakrishna ji right on time. Hello there, Balakrishna.
Hari Om
Namaste.
Hari Om Shankara ji.
Hari Om.
Oh, Bala.
Hi.
This together. Namaste, Bala.
And who is that? Oh, that's Balakrishna. Yes, there he is. He switched his video on. Good. Aaron was remarking that it's a smaller than usual group this evening. Well, so be it. We found in the past when we met in the library and studied Holy Mother, this was years ago, that there were not all that many people. Hello, Navin. Hello, Namaste. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Namaste, Brother Shankara. Happy birthday, Brother Shankara.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday, Brother Shankar. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Have a
Because-
wonderful
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's among
Yeah, we are.
among those who take monastic vows, one isn't supposed to make so much of their birthday.
You are
So I don't say anything about it. but
celebrating
some-
alone.
Yeah, I think you're right, Haima. When people don't think that the class starts until 8:02, they don't feel
5.
like they need to show. So it's 8:02 and we will start. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beings who are suffering and all beings who are joyous everywhere. So, I see some other lovely faces have joined us. And we are, as you know, studying Sri Sarada Devi, her divine play. And we have just read about the Panchatapa, sitting among 4 fires, a square of 4 fires quite close to you, 7.5 feet, blazing fires with the blazing sun overhead, Panchatapa. So Holy Mother did this, and Swami Chetanananda writes, the external fire of the Panchatapa relieved the burning anguish within that Holy Mother had felt since the Master's passing, and she felt an inner peace. Years later, when a devotee asked her about the Panchatapa, she said, yes, it was necessary. Parvati, the Divine Mother, practiced this austerity to obtain Shiva as her husband. Then she added, and this is where it's so important to us, then she added, I performed the austerity to set an example for others. Otherwise, people would say, what is extraordinary about her? She eats, sleeps, and moves about like ordinary people. When an intimate disciple wanted to know the real reason that she went through this ordeal, she said, my child, I went through it for the sake of all of you. Can you practice austerities? This is why I had to do it. And this is where it touches us. No, we would not be able to do a Panchatapa. I mean, for most of us, it would be inconceivable to, for several days, sit among 4 blazing fires with the blazing sun overhead. Great inconceivable penances are done by the great ones, the ones who come to free us. I went through it for the sake of all of you. Can you practice austerities? This is why I had to do it. Holy Mother always felt the Master's presence wherever she lived. When she was in Nilambar's house in Belur, she had a vision. It was a moonlit night. She was seated on the steps leading to the Ganges, looking at the full moon reflected in the waves of the sacred river. Suddenly, she saw Ramakrishna coming from behind. Suddenly, she saw Ramakrishna come from behind and proceed swiftly to the river. As soon as he touched the water, his body dissolved in it. Later, Holy Mother described this incident. I looked at the phenomenon with my mouth wide open in utter amazement. All of a sudden, Naren also appeared, I don't know from where, crying victory unto Ramakrishna. He took some water in his hands and began to sprinkle it upon innumerable men and women gathered around. This was all part of the vision, the innumerable men and women. Naren appeared, I knew not from where, crying victory unto Ramakrishna. He took some water in his hands and began to sprinkle it upon innumerable men and women gathered around. Immediately, they attained liberation. This vision was imprinted on her mind so deeply that she could not bathe in the Ganges for some days. Now, Mother bathed in the Ganges when she was near it. She bathed in it every day. So this is really remarkable. This vision was imprinted on her mind so deeply that she could not bathe in the Ganges for some days. She said, this Ganges is the body of the Master. How can I touch it with my feet? How can I touch it with my feet? This experience finally convinced her that Ramakrishna's physical death did not mean he had ceased to exist. You see, this is what Holy Mother means when she says, even the divine incarnations are subject to the limitations of a human form. All these years had gone by, and she still had this shadow of a doubt that Ramakrishna's physical death meant he had ceased to exist. This experience finally convinced her that Ramakrishna's physical death did not mean he had ceased to exist. He had been incarnated to fulfill a cosmic purpose, and she must also contribute her share to accomplish it. Holy Mother soon became the central figure for Ramakrishna's disciples and devotees. You can see that as she changed, people changed toward her. As she matured, it seems inconceivable to us that there could be any change in this of this kind. But she did the Panchatapa. She had this vision. All of this changed her and made her that much more accessible to and desirable to Ramakrishna's disciples. Holy Mother soon became the central figure for Ramakrishna's disciples and devotees. They came to her for solace and succor, and she treated them with great affection. Once Durgachara Nag, known as Nagmashai. Oh, this is some story. Pay close attention. This Nagmashai, you know, he was a doctor, a successful doctor, making good money and all. And he once overheard, it wasn't something Sri Ramakrishna said to him, he once overheard that profession was something less than ideal. He took his case of medical instruments and threw it in the Ganges and never practiced medicine again and became very poor. He had enough to live on, the master's devotees did. But this Nagmashai, what a character. I mean, he was another one who didn't do anything by half. Once Durgachara Nag, known as Nagmashai, came to visit Holy Mother at Nilambar's house. He considered Ramakrishna to be God and Holy Mother to be the Divine Mother. Holy Mother described Nagmashai's exuberant devotion and how the master's devotees respected her and how the master's devotees respected her. What shall I say about Durgacharan? He looked upon me as the Divine Mother, the Divine Mother herself. He came to see me on Ekadashi. In those days, no men devotees were allowed in my presence. They used to bow down to me by touching their heads to the staircase. A maidservant used to announce the name of the visitor, saying, "So-and-so is saluting you, Mother," and I would send my blessings. On that day, the maid said, "Mother, who is Nagmashai? He is bowing to you and he is bowing down to you and hitting his head so hard it might bleed." Yogananda Maharaj is trying to persuade him to stop, but he does not say a word. He seems to be unconscious. Is he mad, Mother? I said, "Please ask Jogin to send him here." Jogin was Swami Yogananda. "Please ask Jogin to send him here." Jogin brought him to me. I saw that his forehead was swollen, tears were trickling from his eyes, and his steps were unsteady. He could not see me because he was blinded by tears. I made him sit down. He was uttering only "Mother, Mother," as if he were insane. Otherwise, he was calm, composed, and balanced. I wiped away his tears with the upper corner of my cloth. Think of this, think of this. I wiped away his tears with the upper corner of my cloth. He came when I had just sat down for my meal, luchis, sweets, and fruits. I ate a little of the food and then tried to feed him with the prasad. But it was hard for him to swallow the food. He had no outer consciousness. He remained seated, touching my feet with his hands, repeating, "Mother, Mother." My women companions said, "Mother, your meal is spoiled. Let Yogananda Maharaj take him downstairs." I said, "Wait, let him compose himself a little." I stroked his head and body and repeated the master's name. And after some time, he regained external consciousness. Then I began to eat my meal and also to feed him. After his meal, he was taken downstairs. While leaving, he said to me, not I, but thou. I told those who were near me, look how wise he is. He would do anything for me. On another occasion, Nagmashai came to me wearing a dirty and tattered cloth and carrying on his head a basket full of delicious mangoes from his own trees. He lived a bit away, so this must have been quite an ordeal for him to come. Carrying on his head a basket full of delicious mangoes from his own trees. He intended to sit by my side and feed me, but he said nothing. He roamed around holding the basket on his head. Jogan sent word, please tell mother that Nagmashai has brought mangoes. He will not say anything, nor will he give the basket to anyone. I asked for him to be sent to me. He came with the basket on his head, and a brahmachari took it from him. I had not yet finished the daily worship of the master. He bowed down to me and became unconscious as before. He was repeating the master's name and also mother, mother. Tears were streaming from his eyes. Those mangoes were of excellent quality. Some were cut and offered to the master. Mother herself probably cut them. Some were cut and offered to the master. Jogan brought some of the prasad on a leaf plate to me. I took a little and asked Golap to bring another leaf plate. I then put some pieces of mango from my plate onto the other plate, and I said to him, Nagmashai, please eat. Who could eat? He had no body consciousness, and his hands were numb. I took hold of his hand and tried to persuade him to eat, but he couldn't. Instead, he took a piece of the mango and began to rub it on his forehead. I sent word to the attendants, and they escorted him downstairs. He constantly bowed down on the floor, and his forehead got swollen. He didn't eat his meal. I heard that after some time, he regained normal consciousness and left. So let's hold this Nagmashai to our hearts. You know, this is what's meant by being mad for God. When the master said, people weep jugs of tears for wealth, name, fame, family, all these things. Who weeps for God? Nagmashai wept for God. And you can see he would lose outer consciousness in Mother's presence. Once Nagmashai visited Holy Mother at her residence on Sarkabari Lane in Calcutta. The mother described his exuberant devotion. What wonderful devotion he had. Look at his dry leaf plate. Could anyone eat it? But out of overwhelming devotion, he swallowed even the leaf plate because prasad had touched it. This is that madness, you know. This is that madness. Utter lack of perspective from in any normal sense. The prasad of Mother's prasad had touched it, therefore he ate the leaf plate too. His eyes were full of devotion, slightly reddish and always moist with tears. His body was emaciated from severe austerities. When he came to see me, his body would tremble out of devotion, and it was hard for him to climb up the stairs. His steps would falter. I have never seen such devotion in anyone. Holy Mother once gave him a cloth, but Nagmashai never used it. On special occasions, he would tie it around his head. Sometimes he would say, "Mother is more gracious than Father." That's an observation that we can all take to heart. What does Mother say? When you are in distress, remember you have a mother. She invites us to come to her with anything that is on our hearts, with anything that it makes us restless and unable to focus on our spiritual practices or our worldly duties. Since I've been here, going on 10 years now, a number of people have come with different things that were troubling them, most often work-related. And I would say, take a picture of Mother, put it by your bedside, and when you wake up in the morning, sit and pour out your heart to her. When you go to bed at night, before you go to sleep, sit and pour out your heart to her. Tell her what you need. These people have received her help. Wonderful things happened. Mother is more gracious than Father. Subhead, Holy Mother visits Bihar. Holy Mother stayed at Nilambar's house in Belur from July to October 1893, and then went to Jairambati. Balaram's daughter, oh my goodness, Mohini died in December 1893, and her mother, Krishna Bhavani, was sick with grief. The doctor suggested that she go to a health resort outside Calcutta. Accordingly, a house was rented at Kailwar on the bank of the Shone River in Bihar. Now, Balaram's family was wealthy. So when it said that a house was rented, this would have been a very nice house. So it says, accordingly, a house was rented at Kailwar on the bank of the Shone River in Bihar, 8 miles east of Ara. Krishna Bhavani asked Holy Mother to accompany her, and she agreed. In late January 1894, Holy Mother, now 41 years old, went to Balaram's house in Calcutta, and then in the early part of February, left for Kailwar. The party consisted of Holy Mother, Krishna Bhavani, and her mother, Golap Ma, Yogin Ma. I want to remind you, this Golap Ma and Yogan Ma, the master said these were gopis. They asked especially for a boon to be born along with the master and mother. This is what the master said of Golap Ma and Yogan Ma. These were part of the Rasa Lila in Vrindavan. The party consisted of Holy Mother, Krishna Bhavani, and her mother, Golap Ma, Yogan Ma, Swami Yogananda, Sharadananda, Trigunatitananda, and some cooks and servants. Now you can imagine this is the party of a wealthy person. They can afford to take everyone on such a journey and rent a nice house where all of them can stay in the kind of circumstances that are fitting to their station. Holy Mother later recalled her stay in Kailwar. Once I spent a couple of months in Kailwar in the district of Ara. It is a very healthy place. Golap, Balaram's mother, Baburam's mother, Balaram's wife, and others were with me. The country abounded in deer. A herd of them roamed about, forming a triangle. But no sooner had we seen them than they fled like birds. Now, forming a triangle, the triangle is symbolic of the mother. So the fact that she notes this, a herd of them roamed about, forming a triangle. But no sooner had we seen them than they fled like birds. I had never before seen anything run so swiftly. The master would say, musk develops in the navel of the deer. Being fascinated with its smell, the deer run hither and thither. They do not know where the fragrance comes from. Likewise, God dwells in the human body, and human beings do not know it. Therefore, they search for bliss everywhere, not knowing that it is already in them. God alone is real, and everything else is false. Now, this happened to be one of Swami Prabhavananda's favorite images. He would actually bend over, saying, the deer, all the deer has to do is bend over and smell its own navel, then it will know that this is where the fragrance comes from. And so this is something for us to take to heart, that let us not be like the deer that runs hither and thither, but like the deer that lies down in a comfortable and lovely spot and bends over and experiences the bliss of its own being. The deer do not know it, therefore they search for bliss everywhere, not knowing that it is already in them. God alone is real, and everything else is false. After returning from Kailwar, Holy Mother left for Jairambati in April 1894, and then returned to Calcutta in August 1894, again staying with Balaram's family. Every afternoon, Yogin Ma, Golap Ma, Krishna Bhavani, Matangini, and the women devotees would gather around Holy Mother to hear stories of her childhood and her time with the Master. These were glorious days. Now that's a little summary statement, but if we can just think in our own hearts, every afternoon, Yogin Ma, Golap Ma, Krishna Bhavani, Matangini, and the women devotees would gather around Holy Mother to hear stories of her childhood and her time with the Master. Those were glorious days. In 1894, Holy Mother attended the Janmashtami festival, the celebration of Krishna's birth, at Balaram's house. After that, Matangini wanted to worship Mother Durga in her country home at Antpur. She invited Holy Mother to attend the festival, and she agreed. On Janmashtami day, it was announced that Holy Mother would be going to Matangini's country home in Antpur to attend Durga Puja. Shortly before Durga Puja in 1894, Matangini left for Antpur with Holy Mother, Yogin Ma, Golap Ma, and Swamiji's disciple, Swami Chetanananda. Oh, I have a story to tell you about Swami Chetanananda. Swami Chetanananda was just an absolute fierce devotee and very learned. And he was very fond of quoting Jesus Christ and Adi Shankaracharya. And one time he was sitting with Swami Vivekananda in conversation, and he, in the course of the conversation, in response to something Swamiji said, he quoted both of these. And Swamiji said, "Very well, You know what Adi Shankaracharya said, and you know what Jesus Christ said, but what do you know? That's Swamiji pointing right to, it is direct experience. We can know the scriptures, we can know the bhashyas, the commentaries of the great ones, we can know the Gita, every verse, but until it becomes a reality for us, until it becomes real by our own experience, it's book learning. So we do our Shravana, we do our Manana, but then we have to do the Manana in such a way that slowly and slowly we actually adopt the practices and principles of these higher teachings and abandon our lower ways. Then we have experiences. Then we have our own experiences. And then we can answer the question, what do you know? So that's a little bit about Swami Chetanananda. And by the way, he was, this was, Swamiji highly prized him, but he just was giving him that little corrective. Matangani's daughter, Krishna Bhavani, and son, Shanti, is that Shantiram? Is that right? Also came. They went to somebody say the word, Haripal by train, and then by bullock cart to Antpur. But a palanquin was arranged for Holy Mother. Holy Mother was very delicate. She was not strong of constitution. So it isn't that they're doing this just out of devotion to Holy Mother. It's in recognition of the fact that she is indeed delicate. And it's difficult for her to even ride in bullock carts because they bounce up and down, so on, let alone walk. In Antpur, Durga Puja was celebrated for 4 days with great éclat. If we remember what éclat means great finesse and joy and special attention. Éclat, it's a French word. Durga Puja was celebrated for 4 days with great éclat. Afterwards, Holy Mother left for Kamarpukur with Yoganma, Golapma, and Sadananda. After staying a few days in Kamarpukur, they went to Jairambati. Holy Mother stayed there, and the others returned to Calcutta. Now, if we remember, Jairambati was really Holy Mother's favorite place to stay for the rest of her life. She would go and she would do all the dutiful by staying near Belur Mat and places like Nilambar Babu's house and Balaram's house in Calcutta and so on. This was before the Udbodhan place was established. But Jairambati, because of its informality, because of its congeniality, the fact that she was just accepted there and her mother was there too, that meant a lot to her. They went to Jairambati, Holy Mother stayed there, and the others returned to Calcutta. Holy Mother returns to Calcutta. So let's do this in the way that we have begun to do these things. We've read quite a bit now from the Panchatapa experience and why Mother did it and these various places she went and experiences she had of the Master and the fact that she became the central figure in the Ramakrishna movement. It was already a movement at that time. Swamiji had already gone to the West and made the big splash, so on. So any comments or questions? Anything that anyone, before we go on, any comments or questions? Let's do our practicing the art of spirituality together.
Brother Shankara, I have one question.
Yes, Sham.
Why did Master had a disliking for physicians or doctors or people of that
It
profession?
isn't that he had a disliking for them. It's just that they were so highly valued and prized. Lawyers and doctors were so highly thought of and so much a part of the society in Kolkata. And the master felt that they needed to be, to practice in an ideal way, they needed to be very careful about the money that they took for their services, because their services were of direct help to people who were in distress. And of course, this is the divine person in the form of a lawyer or a doctor. There is only the divine person. There is only the divine person reflected in each jiva. So it was only a way of saying, be as ideal as you can in your profession. Don't take more than you need. But Nagmashai, as I pointed out, he did nothing by halves, as we see. So as soon as he heard that this was not, as soon as he heard from the master's lips that this was something less than ideal, he determined, I will be the ideal, and so stopped being a doctor. Now, he could have continued to be a doctor and not taken any money for it, but that wasn't Nagmashai's way. He just, this is a man who would bang his head on the steps until it was nearly bleeding. So this is being mad for God. This madness for God is something we have to be careful if we wish for it, because we no longer become in any way ordinary. So is that a good answer, Sham? Does that answer it?
That's true. Thank you.
Okay, very good, and a very good question. It isn't that the master was very fond of some doctors. Dr. Sarkar, at the end of his life, he spent many, many, many hours with Dr. Sarkar, enacting, if you will, a little drama with that doctor for our enlightenment and our instruction. If you read those pages in the gospel, toward the end of the gospel, about Sri Ramakrishna and Dr. Sarkar, it's really, really very heartwarming. And so he was very fond of that doctor, though he gave him some stern correction. Anyone else? Okay. Holy Mother returns to Calcutta. In February 1895, Holy Mother returned to Balaram's house after her visit to Jairambati. Every evening, Holy Mother would attend the Vesper service at Balaram's family. She would attend the Vesper service of Balaram's family deity in the shrine and then meditate on the roof. Balaram's house in Calcutta was nicely situated, nice breeze on the roof, so it would be a cool place to meditate. One evening, when Holy Mother was at Vespers, Gorima entered the room and hid under her cot. One evening, when Holy Mother was at Vespers, Gauri Ma entered Holy Mother's room and hid under her cot. That evening, there was torrential rain, so Holy Mother came back to her room for meditation. After an hour, Holy Mother began to laugh and cry in an ecstatic mood, and finally she became motionless. After a couple of hours, Gauri Ma touched her head to Holy Mother's feet. She opened her eyes and saw Gauri Ma. Holy Mother asked, "Where have you been?" "I was hiding under your cot," Gauri Ma said. Smiling, Holy Mother exclaimed, "What a girl." You know, Holy Mother had these close companions, but like Naren testing the master, they were always making sure. So Gauri Ma hid there to see what Mother would do, to see what she was like when she didn't think anyone was near. So did Mother scold her for this? No. Mother knew her mind. Mother knew her heart. Smiling, Holy Mother exclaimed, "What a girl." "Mother, I was hiding under your cot for such a long time, and you didn't see me," said Gauri Ma. Yes, but Gauri Ma saw what happened. It rained, so Mother came to her room and went into samadhi. Holy Mother was late for supper, so Krishna Bhavani entered the room to fetch her. Gauri Ma said to Krishna Bhavani, "Baudi, sister-in-law." Is that right? "Baudi, sister-in-law, look, Mother says that she does not get ecstasy in samadhi, so I hid under her cot to see what she does during meditation." So then she described everything to Krishna Bhavani. Embarrassed, Holy Mother remained seated with her eyes cast down. Now, Holy Mother didn't actually say, she didn't lie about going into ecstasy and samadhi and so on. She just deflected questions about it. She would change the subject and so on. So it isn't as if she would dissemble about it. She just wouldn't fess up, so to speak. And that you can bet this is the reason that Chetanananda included this particular incident in the book, so that we would get a glimpse into both Gauri Ma and her relationship with Mother, and what Holy Mother actually was experiencing. Holy Mother takes her mother on pilgrimage. Every devout Hindu aspires to see Gaya, Varanasi, Vrindavan, Prayag, and other holy places at least once in her lifetime. Holy Mother wanted to fulfill this desire for her mother, who had gone through many ordeals throughout her life. She planned the pilgrimage for February 1895, and Yogin Ma, Golab Ma, and Yogananda decided to go with her. So notice the near and dear ones. Yogin Ma, Golab Ma, the two gopis, and Yogananda. Yogananda had such a special relationship with the mother. Yogin Ma, Golab Ma, and Yogananda decided to go with her. Accordingly, Holy Mother brought her mother and two brothers, Prasanna and Kali, from Jairabati to Calcutta. The party first went to Varanasi to worship Vishwanath Shiva and Mother Annapurna. One day, Yogananda hired a boat and took the party to see where the Ganges flows in a half crescent and to give them a panoramic view of Varanasi. Now, this flowing of the Ganges and the half crescent, perhaps one of you knows why, but it's considered as very auspicious. Does anyone know why that's so auspicious? The fact that the Ganges makes this half crescent turn there in Varanasi itself.
Maybe it's because Lord Shiva has that moon, half crescent moon on his head.
What a wonderful thought. Perhaps that's it. Perhaps that's it. Good thought, Balakrishna ji. Well, in any case, Yogananda knew something about it, and he showed it to them. Yogananda hired a boat and took the party to see where the Ganges flows in a half crescent, and to give them a panoramic view of Varanasi. They stayed in Varanasi for 3 days, and then went to Vrindavan, where they stayed until the middle of April, 1895. Just a sidelight now. Holy Mother and all of these people knew what had happened to Vivekananda, and they were getting constant reports from him, both his own letters and the letters of others, because already a relationship had developed between the Ramakrishna order and Josephine MacLeod and people like that. And Mrs. Bull, I've forgotten her name now, for her first name, and the Hale family. So I just wanted to give you an idea. At that time in 1895, he was still in the United States. He spoke at the Brooklyn Ethical Society in February 1895. And I think it wasn't until the summer that he went to London. So they were still getting reports from him, or reports about him. And the fact that something truly remarkable was happening with him. So I just wanted this to be a little in your background of your mind, that they knew that something transformative was happening clear across the world. I mean, halfway around the world, something transformative was happening. And so that was a backdrop for everything that they did, because they were constantly aware of it. It was arranged for them to stay at Kala.
Babu Kunja.
Say it please loudly.
Kala Babu Kunja.
Kalababu Kunja, Balaram Basu's estate, where Holy Mother had stayed during her last visit. They visited all the important temples in Vrindavan. In April 1895, the party left for Prayag, the confluence of the Ganges and the Jamuna. This is where the Kumbh Melas are held. The Kumbh Melas and the Mahakumbh Melas are held, where the confluence of the Ganges and the Jamuna. The party left for Prayag, the confluence of the Ganges and the Jamuna, where they bathed. It was considered especially auspicious to bathe there. On their way back, they stopped at Gaya. As was the custom, Shama Sundari's eldest son, Prasanna, performed a ritual and offered pinda at the feet of Vishnu for their departed father Ramchandra. Holy Mother was very pleased. On the fourth day, they visited Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya, of course, is associated with Buddha. That's where he attained his illumination. On the fourth day, they visited Bodh Gaya and then returned to Calcutta. Holy Mother sent her mother and brothers to Jairambati while she stayed with M's family at 51 Bhavani Datta Lane in
Kola.
say it again?
Kolutala.
Kolotala, for a month. Yeah. When you say those things, Balakrishna, please say them loudly so that we hear you.
Okay, okay, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate your help. On 13 May 1895, just about this time of year, on 13 May 1895, Holy Mother left for Jairambati. She had with her a small brass image of baby Krishna, or Balagopala, that she had bought in Vrindavan. She kept the image on a shelf in her room. One day, while she was lying on her bed, the image of little Gopala, these stories. One day while she was lying on her bed, the image of little Gopala crawled to her and said, "You brought me here, but you don't care for me. You don't feed me or worship me. If you don't worship me, no one else will worship me." Can you imagine? Just let's hold that to our hearts. I'll read that again. She purchased this little image in Vrindavan, the Rasa Leela, where Krishna grew up. She kept the image on a shelf in her room. One day, while she was lying on her bed, the image of little Gopala crawled to her and said, "You brought me here, but you don't care for me. You don't feed me or worship me. If you don't worship me, no one else will worship me." Immediately, Holy Mother took the image in her hand and kissed it affectionately, touching its cheek with her fingertips, and then touching them with her, and then touched her fingertips with her lips. She offered flowers to the image and placed it next to the Master's picture, where she worshipped it daily. I make such a point of this to let you know that our ordinary reality, the reality in which we live, in which things like this don't happen, it's our limitation and nothing more that these things don't happen. That reality is there. It isn't just there for Holy Mother. It's there for us. And as we remove the upadis and the limitations, this kind of experience becomes our own as well. This is what's meant by the statement, and Prabhavananda was absolutely, and Swahananda also absolutely adamant about this. The pictures on your shrine, the pictures in this shrine, the pictures behind me on this shrine, they are not inert. They are alive. They're living. And you can speak with them. And as you slowly and slowly remove that which causes you to think otherwise and doubt, the pictures will communicate with you. The reality, that reality is there for us too, not just for such as Holy Mother. Because of their grace, because of their grace, not because of our power. Remember, we're reflected beings. We're reflected. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind. Yet without thee we think not, nor speak. And yet the jiva is a reality. It's a created reality for our own purposes, for the divine's purposes, and that jiva can communicate with its creator and its beloved. Any comments or questions before we go on? We have just another 7 minutes, so we can take it up with questions and answers, or we can read on. It's your, just whatever.
Especially in Bhakti Yoga, this is what they say, because, you know, when we read all these things, it doesn't really, you know, put into our mind, but it says in Bhakti Yoga, as you keep increasing your bhakti and devotion, slowly you would start seeing just the head of it. And then as it goes deeper and deeper, you can see the whole body. And
Yes.
then as it goes deeper and deeper, actually you can talk to them.
Yes. Yes. And it's interesting, Swami Prabhupada said, sometimes it doesn't start with the head. Sometimes you'll see the feet first, or the hands. But as you say, if you persist, ultimately the being that is a picture is alive for you. And yes, they want to talk with us. This is the testimony of the saints. They yearn to talk with us. It's our distraction and our limitations that keep us from this correspondence.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
I think Balakrishna ji answered most of the answer for me, but I was going to ask you, does the more meditation would do such divine conversations?
Repeat the question, please, dear.
Okay. If people do more and more meditation, longer meditations, do these divine talks and conversations happen with the divine figures?
That is part of it, yes. But what does it mean to meditate? What does it mean to practice concentration and meditation? When we are doing that, we become aware of those things that try to interrupt our concentration and our meditation. These are our upadis. These are the habitual ways of being and thinking that will try to intrude, not because they're malicious, just because it is our habit. It is what the gunas brush against them and energize them, and in whatever mood the gunas produce, they make themselves known to us. We need to deal with those things. So it isn't just practicing hours of sitting on the cushion. It is changing your behavior, changing your thoughts and your speech, so that when those things arise in us, we see, oh yes, I see this. And so slowly and slowly you stop feeding it, and it goes to sleep. It goes dormant. It's said it remains potential until final illumination, in which case all upadis are burnt to ashes. But in the meantime, we can, by stopping feeding these ways of being, thinking, speaking, changing. And how do we stop feeding them? By doing something different. This is manana. This is the process of manana. So it is, so to speak, hours spent on the cushion, but it's also coming to realize that meditation is something that happens all day long. I am seeing what I saw as I was on the cushion. I'm seeing it arise now. Aha. So what do? Well, I can start saying my mantra. I can replace it with a higher samskara, a higher thought, which is Patanjali is very explicit about how to do that. But one way or another, that's what we must do. Remembering always that we are the beloved, and all the power that we need to do this is already within us. This is Vivekananda just says this again and again and again. The power is infinite within us. And so it's nothing that we can't do. We just need to apply ourselves, but not just when we're sitting on the cushion. So longer times on the cushion are good, but applying what we discover there makes it even better.
Thank you.
And thanks for that question. Very, very, very pertinent question.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Anyone else?
So our limitations are, as you said, our upadis, which we created ourselves, which aren't really what the soul is. Is that correct?
The upadis are not created by ourselves. The upadis are in the sense of the jiva that's living now. Very little of what is within us in terms of mental impressions, our upadis, our samskaras, was created. It is the nature of Maya. It is the nature of the illusion itself to impose these aspects of materialism and vanity. When I say impose, I don't mean maliciously impose. It's just in the nature of reality. And so when we wish to escape, we go to the higher reality. This is what Vivekananda meant when he said, move from lesser truth to higher truth. It isn't that the experience of our upadis and Maya and limitations is untrue. It is just a lesser truth. And so don't blame yourself for this. It's not, there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are simply seeing inaccurately due to Maya, due to the illusion. And of course, that's made up of all of these upadis and samskaras and vasanas and all these words that we have for basically the BS that is obscuring the truth for us every moment. And we have to, there's only one thing that we have to really, truly admit to enable us to power ahead. And that is, we've grown accustomed to liking to be distracted. We have our own ways of doing it. Some of us are distracted by anxiety. Some of us are distracted by anger. Some of us are distracted by lust. Some of us are desire for wealth. Whatever it is, that is simply something that we are doing in order that we don't see the truth. We've become habituated to it. So what is our responsibility if we wish to move ahead? To acknowledge that and then do what is necessary to change our behavior, our thinking, our speech, so that it no longer reflects that way of being, doing, and thinking and speaking, and reflects a higher way of doing it. And don't expect it to be easy. It's not easy, but expect it to be very rewarding if you persist in it. Very good question.
Thank you.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Swayam.
this is just to clarify again the answer that you gave to Haima's question.
Mm-hmm.
When you said applying what we learn or discover during meditation, during the rest of our day. So basically, the intruding thoughts that come in when we are meditating, watch those, and then at other times when those same thoughts kind of come, then catch it and then replace it with
Precisely. This is why during meditation, when these things arise, we shouldn't be caught by them and get on that train of thought that leads from wherever that is, because that's our habitual way of doing it. Just gaze on it. I see, and then go back to your meditation. Over time, you'll see there is a very definite pattern to those things that try to interrupt us and those things that we are distracted by easily. Our attention goes whoop to that as soon as it appears. Remembering that what we are attempting to do is fully uncover the truth. And so when we allow our time and our attention to be diverted to that, we can say, well, this doesn't deserve my attention, but I need to acknowledge it so that, as you say, when it appears during daily life, during the rest of the time when we're not on the cushion, we can say, oh, I know you. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this instead. And your greatest friend, your greatest and most powerful friend is your mantra, because it contains the treasure of the great saints and incarnations. If you have a Ramakrishna mantra, of course, it contains Sri Ramakrishna's. But if you chant Om Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, these are all full of the power of those divine incarnations.
Would it be okay or not to write down these thoughts when you're sitting in meditation to discover a pattern?
Yes, of course it would. Journaling is a very, very good thing to do. There are people that you know among our congregation who do this quite faithfully. Yes, it's very good to journal.
Even in meditation, that wouldn't be considered interruption. If you are meditating and then distracted by a thought, you stop for a minute, write down your thoughts.
Well, it's probably best not to interrupt your 20 or 30 minutes, but immediately afterwards, you can remember it that long if it's important. And as I say, you will slowly and slowly detect a pattern of those things that are very powerful, those that are sort of powerful, and those that are just kind of incidental, trivial. But they keep coming because we're habituated to them. We have a habit of being with those thoughts and feelings and perceptions. And it's not like we're bad and wrong for doing it. It's the way we've learned to cope all these many lifetimes to the moment we got right here, right now. It's just that it's no longer appropriate for the direction we're headed. So we have to take those things and, as I said, slowly and slowly put them to sleep.
Thank you.
And it is slowly and slowly. They've developed over many lifetimes, we're told. Anything else?
Thank you.
Well, this was a very productive discussion. Okay, well, it's after 9 o'clock now. It's 9:08. So with your permission, we'll call it an evening, and we'll take it up with Holy Mother's Travels 1895 to 1897 next week. And what a joy this was to share with you the Mother and her becoming who she is for us now. Anything else before we close? All right, dears. In this closing prayer, notice it is a petitionary prayer. It is asking the divine presence to do something for us, to do three things for us. The divine presence does not, it's like the story about the musketeer that was told. It doesn't exist. Well, of course it exists outside us as well, but for us, it exists inside. So we are asking the self of ourself, the chosen ideal that exists within us, for this. Om asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amrutangamaya, abir moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from thy lesser truth to thy highest truth. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. It's the same thing that is at the end of the evening prayer. Come to the heart's dark cave and illumine the light of the light. Now, you might translate the word come to manifest, because we're told, we understand that it's already there, seated in our hearts. Only needs to open its eyes and shine its radiance on us. Shine, shine, shine. Om Asato. Okay, dear ones. So until the next class tomorrow night, if you come, or until the next time we see you, Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga, Durga, Durga.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
Okay. Good night, all. Good night, Kat.
Good night.
Good night.
There we go. I'm going to end the meeting now.
Okay.